Yeah, the most boring thing to talk about European Commission regulation. Now, don't worry. It is actually important. And my title, and thank you very much for coming for the most boring title I could choose, is there is a strong impact momentum. So how come? Because each of us are usually not connecting the European Commission with a lot of innovation. But, however, this type of presentation I would like to show to you today is maybe something different. It unfortunately doesn't contain beautiful pictures of Earth and nature and things like that. It does contain a lot of information. However, we need to think about the people who are not here today. All of us do care. All of us have been working in this industry, in this topic, for quite some while, for many years, for being passionate about what they're doing. But the vast majority of my colleagues, and I've been in this financial industry, the pure, plain vanilla, standard financial industry, for 20 years now, and I can tell you, the vast majority of my colleagues and my business partners do not see any connection, however, between their daily work, so moving money, and things like environmental change and climate change and, people suffering. They just separate. It's absurd, but it's the fact. So actually, thanks to the European Commission, this might change. Because it took me really 4 years of really being very, very precise and very serious about certain sustainability issues in my company. And and that's also a little bit absurd, I always had to disguise them. And I will show you how to disguise our mission. So what are the main investment decision drivers for large investors like big family offices or institutions? And again, you will not hear and see any of those normal pictures and words that we have been seeing so far. Not that they are not good, but remember, we have to disguise our story in order to be heard. So what are the main drivers? It's first of all risks. It's risks. Everything that you will hear from a large investor is risks. I will tell you more about it. Second, it's the regulatory framework. Pension funds are highly regulated. Insurance companies are even more so. Banks are regulated as well. So the regulatory framework plays in the big money world, and this is where the financial industry is, a huge role. The economical findings, why is that important? Because all of the participants of this industry, or most of them, have studied either economics or business administration. So in their head, it's always that kind of terms and conditions and rules. This is what they're known for. This is what they read about. So in order to make them listen to something different, you need to speak their language. And fourthly, it's always investment opportunity. That makes them listen. That makes them, this is, I'd rather dig into this if they see an investment opportunity. So let's start first with risks. So risks are rather easy to identify. You just have to go to Davos each year. The World Economic Forum, it's like the thought leadership of all global thought leaders in economy. Again, we're not talking about saving the planet, people. It's economists, it's politics, it's really serious people. And they think about what are the main risks of the world economy. And they draw a map of different risks that are usually consisting of economic risk, environmental risk, geopolitical risk, societal risk, and technological risks. So all of that is then considered, and they put it in frames and networks and databases. And one thing I would like to focus on is this point. The center of all of those economical risks are profound social instabilities. That's interesting, because, you know, even my colleagues believe and listen to what the World Economic Forum says. So here's a main or first thing to maybe listen to. Second, the World Economic Forum does publish, and I can recommend you to download that presentation from their website, the World Economic Risk Report every year. And they draw a map. They draw a scatter chart where you have the x-axis of the likelihood of this risk to actually happen, and the y-axis, the impact of that risk to the economy. And if you focus on the right-hand corner, it's 3 green dots. What does green mean? Of course, something environmental. And even if you can't read it, it's extreme weather events, natural disasters, and failure of climate change mitigation. Again, okay, so here's the world economical leadership talking about environmental risks. So coming back to my pension fund manager, who are normally living in this little cozy, warm world of economical knowledge, this is new because environmental risks are not considered in any kind of risk management system in the world in the financial industry. So neither in pension funds, nor in insurance companies, nor in banks, there is a thing that is called environmental risk that is considered. Second, my favorite topic, yes, super great thing, the European Commission. What they did was not smart. It was actually smart. What they did in December 2016, they gathered a group of about 20-25 people from the industry. Not only academics, not only scientists, but also financial industry people. And what they asked them is to come up with solutions to find out what are the challenges for the financial industry in order to shift the big money they're working with into a more sustainable economy. So why doesn't that happen so far? What are the challenges? What are the obstacles to be overcome? So what is there to actually, what has to be changed? And what this group did was they formulated 8 recommendations. You don't have to read that through. The major issue is that they said, the language is missing, the terminology, we need standards, we need things that everybody agrees on. And when I'm talking about everybody, this is everybody in the financial industry, stuff that they're used to. You know, the auditors of this world, they have a certain terminologies, and the risk managers in every single institution, they have a terminology, and the terminology of us has to be adapted. So what is key in these recommendations? They were then taken to formulate an action plan. And that came out this year. And I can tell you, after 4 years of really, really serious work in my own company and a lot of industry networking, I actually managed to have my colleagues listen. Because the European Commission set out an action plan of 10 action points in order, and that was the goal, to reorient capital flows towards a more sustainable economy. They are preparing new laws, and these laws will definitely change the investment industry. The regular one, the one that is highly regulated, the big, big money will be changed because of these new action plan. And the European Commission is, as most of you know, the lawmaker for the whole European Union. So far, Switzerland has always been a little bit, reluctant and looking at, what they're doing. But mostly after 3 or 4 years, they also adopt these rules. So these action points will shift money because the action plan is this. And I want to put your attention to the action point number 7 and number 8. And number 7, clarify institutional investors and asset managers' duties. Sounds like a normal sentence, but that goes all alarm offs in my industry. It's like, new laws are coming up. And these new laws will regulate asset managers and investors. The second one is incorporate sustainability in prudential requirement. Again, an even louder alarm is going off. I will show you shortly. What are the next steps? Here you see, and again, Klaus has the presentation, the next steps, and it's already Q1 and Q2 of next year. So we're not talking about legislation in the next 10, 15, 20 years. We're talking about new laws within the next years. And these new laws will not only fix and formulate standards and new benchmarks and a terminology that should be used of the whole industry, it will also regulate the duties of asset managers. That's where the big money is. And don't let yourself fool you of big organizations that say, oh, the asset management industry has already focused on sustainability issues. No, they have not. Sorry, they have not. They claim to. If an asset management industry, like a large US American one, signs in at the UNPRI, they sign in with all of their assets. Do they manage all of their assets in a sustainable way? No. They usually manage like 2 or 3 little funds. They put 2, 3 portfolio manager in the basement and say, you do a little bit sustainability stuff. And the rest of the big money is not sustainable. So with this regulation, the asset management industry will have to report on what they're doing, and they have to be credible. So what they have to do is implement sustainability issues in their investment process, and not only in the investment process of the 2 portfolio managers in the basement. So for all of their investment process. And everything has to be transparent also to the client and the investor. That's new. What is, from my perspective, working with institutions, the greatest thing, because then they really listen, is stuff that is called Solvency II, IORP II, UCITS, and AFMD. Some of you say, what is this woman talking about? But this is where the big money is. These are the regulations for the asset management industry in Europe, plus the regulation, IORP, is the regulation for the pension fund industry in Europe. So if you change that regulation in those big-time clear law works, you will change a big part of the money. Third, and I will go a little bit quicker, the economical findings. What does that mean? Economical findings, really innovative. Somebody, Mr. Thaler, you might know him, said in 2017, by the way, market agents are human. What a new, innovative idea. We have to incorporate that. If you say, well, that's so simple. Why is that new? Well, actually, it has been incorporated in an economical model so far. It was called behavioral finance. That was a couple of years ago, quite hip. But right now, it's been forgotten. What does that mean? I will show you. So far, economical models incorporate the economy, of course. The real economy plus the financial markets, and whatever happened in the real economy has an effect on financial markets, right? On every academic book, there is rules, there's, things that happen there and happen there. Does that work? No, because of that. Ever since Mr. Trump has appeared, all of those models don't work anymore. However, these three are known, and these three, you find them in the academic literature. But still, we've just heard a brilliant presentation, and we definitely need to talk about this topic, about technology. Technology, you've all heard the word disruptive technology. Disruptive means it disrupts huge industries. I'm from Germany. Our biggest industry is the automotive industry. I desperately hope that we will see quite soon a disruptive technology that really disrupt this very important part of our economy. Second, the societal changes. Society information has some sort of influence on politics, on technology, on the economy. Migration might be important, could be. And last but not least, of course, the environment. Because remember, we've seen this scatter chart of the World Economic Forum, right-hand corner, was environmental disasters. That has a huge impact on insurance companies, on companies that have been invested in agricultural countries or companies. So we cannot deny the economical influence of environmental things. And if you put that together, you have a new framework of an economical model. And my company, we have done a lot of academic research. We're also doing that. And we've put it together in a new form, and that's this. So if you think about your own assets, private family assets, but also institutional assets, these assets are simply influenced by all of these 6 fields. They are influenced by, of course, the economy, the technology, the society, and all of these 6 items, these 6 fields of knowledge are influencing each other. So everything is connected. And I'm sorry that this page is in German, but you might find some English terms like the blockchain, and these topics are the real drivers of investment scenarios. And I'm specifically talking about investment scenarios. That means investment opportunity, plus, of course, also investment risks. So if you put this together, if you see this neural finance map that all of a sudden is clear and logical, no one has actually the ability to tell me this is not true. This is true, this is logical. All of these topics are influencing each other and at the end of the day, my assets. So if you recall, my first slide said capital markets agents are human. This all is the market so far. And if we put this together, this has all very, very much influence on us as humans. And it's all about things like, and you see here the environmental topics, the societal topics, and some of them you might recognize: terror, You see culture, you see behavioral finance as a key driver, you see sustainability and new energy. And all of that is interconnected. However, that actually also supports and might, and if the money flows are actually steered towards a more sustainable economy, that all helps for the SDGs. What is done so far, and that is good news. The Dutch pension fund industry, and I have to bow in front of the Dutch pension fund industry. I don't know if any participant is here. I'm a huge fan of them, and they are 15 years ahead of everyone else in the European community. I am I'm so deeply impressed, and I really mean it seriously, because they have been thinking about this already 15 years ago started. Why? Maybe because their country is 1 meter below sea level? 18. 18?
18, yes.
Well, not all of it.
No.
18 is even worse. No, but I'm really impressed what has been doing. And if we look at this little beautiful country, and the financial industry in this country is super impressive, and they should be our role model. What the 2 largest pension funds in the industry have been doing, they joined forces, they joined their knowledge, and they said, okay, the SDGs is a very great thing, but what do we do with it? How do we invest? So they put a group of very knowledgeable people together, and they worked out a taxonomy, which they called then the SDI, the Sustainable Development Investments. What they did was simply define what they as a pension fund want to do. They said, we invest in solutions that contribute to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and that's very important. These investments meet our financial risk and return requirements. That is always the first thing. Because a pension fund manager, of course, is a human, but as his job is to provide, ensure, and be able to pay out pensions in the next 10, 20, 30 years. His job is not right now to save the world. Maybe it goes together. But his first job, his first duty is to meet his risk-return requirements. Plus, as I said, support the generation of positive social and environmental impact through their product and services. Here is the solution. Some of those solutions are not yet, or some of the SDGs are not yet really investable, but still they need to be supported. They distinguish between investments where impact has and those where it has not been measured. Also a very important issue. And stimulate the latter to report measurable impacts. I come to that later. Why I highlight this? Because APG and PGGM, APG is the pension fund of the Dutch officials. This tiny little country has a pension fund which is larger than the pension fund industry of Germany. So this APG pension fund, or APG asset management of the ABP pension fund, has assets of 440 billion euro. It's huge. And they announced 2 years ago already, or 1.5 years ago, to put 10% of their assets in impact. It's huge, 10%. So together with PGGM, the second largest of the medical industry, they have 250 billion. So altogether, they had more than 60 billion of euro waiting to be invested in impact investments. What did they do? As I said, they defined the SDIs, and you see the little hook and the thumbs up sign for investments that can be, or for SDGs that will be investable. And what they then did, and you can easily download that presentation also. It's free of choice, and you just Google SDI and you will find it. So what they did, they connected the goals that were set by the United Nations to simple projects and real economy things like primary and secondary education products and services, or finance for access to education. So economical solutions to the SDGs. Why? Because they then can easily steer and find investment opportunities that then match to the SDGs. And at the end of the day, what they did, they put it in a list of investment opportunities that they are looking for. So not looking at what kind of bad things they can exclude from their portfolio, and that is right now the common standard in the investment industry, is normally the negative selection criteria list. You've been all hearing from that, big institutions, they have these negative selection criteria and they want to exclude this and this and this and this. That's okay as a first step, but it's much more motivating and much more innovative to rather look at what can I do with my money in a positive way. So these projects are not startup windmill projects in Ghana. These could be large corporates in Europe that are actually providing services, providing products in order to solve the objectives and support the goals of the United Nations. So as a summary, what are institutions and large investors looking for if they want to put money, and they really are ready to put money? The Dutch are. The Germans need a little bit more push, but I'm sure that thanks to the people in Brussels, the Belgian regulation will put a lot of effort in this. So the industry and the institutional industry are looking for performance. However, this performance has to be stable. The source and the stability has to be transparent. And that is something I would like to share with you. I've seen so many wonderful impact projects and people and companies approaching institutional investors or large investors with all of their passion and their heart. Oh, don't do that. Please don't do that. Disguise your emotion, disguise your passion. Dress in black, tie up your hair, and speak their language. Then they will listen to you. Talk about investment opportunities and performance contribution. Talk about risk management and monitoring. Talk about measurement, how you can actually measure the risk, measure the performance, measure the impact. That is key, and I'm glad we switched the agenda. The size and scalability. I mean, if you try to put 40 billion euro to work in projects that have a size of 5 million, it's not possible. So we need to join forces. We need to group our ideas. That is a great, great initiative. And you know what your advantage is? You speak about a topic that my colleagues love, is digitalization. So if you disguise sustainability in digitalization, then they will listen. Talk to her. So what is key? And I think that is a common thing, what we all need if we want to put our money into something new, no matter what it is. We need quality, we need a good manager, we need a sustainable business model, not that is just put with effort and wonderful things, and all of those bike sharing apps, I'm sorry, that is not sustainable. I see all those bikes flying around. One of the bike sharing apps in Germany has just been bankrupt, and now the bikes are just thrown away. Is that sustainable? No. So we need to talk about and find solutions that are really sustainable, that have high quality, have been thought through, and definitely measure everything that there is: risk, performance, impact. That is what you need to consider before you approach a large investor. And I'm personally very much motivated. I sometimes tie up my hair as well. Be very serious. Don't laugh too much. Don't put any of beautiful pictures in your presentation. European institutions don't like that. So put a lot of words in it and speak about risk. Then you're heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.